Hey folks, hey folks, hey folks, what's up, what's up, what's up? This is Stitcharoo coming at you live with a little bit of Unity game dev. We're going to be setting up here a Discord for people to ask questions as I do things to a game that I've been working on. This is kind of a AMA, if you will. Look under the hood of just how games are made. Less of a tutorial, more sit backs, relax to some chill tunes, and let's talk about what makes games good, what makes them fun. The stuff that you don't see, both code and design. So I'm gonna start going here, waiting for that Discord, and get some questions coming in. So what I'm working on is a VR chat world. Much like the panel that's going to be right after me, make sure to join that for more in-depth of how that's done. But I'm making a game show. I'm going to be remaking that 1960s the dating game. How you doing? So first, I am using a tool that is built into Unity called Pro Builder. You can find this wonderful tool from the packet manager of Windows, Asset Management, or rather, Package Manager, my bad, and just searching for Pro Builder. So this project is made in Unity, version 2018.4.20.f1, just for VR chat, with the VR chat world SDK 3 built on in. So a little bit about Pro Builder. Pro Builder adds 3D modeling to Unity, native into Unity. So we're going to go new shape, and you see it puts down this blue cube. This blue cube is what's called a prefab. It's already built, Unity knows what it is, and now we're going to play with it. Let's make it real tiny, squash it, real long, real wide, and put it in the world. So for this game, this world that I'm building, people need a place to stand. So we're going to start with this. From here, we can start building out more cubes. Let's see. Some walls will be good. It's going to be a little bit slow right now as we're waiting on aggregating some questions from y'all. Some little factoids of Unity here. There is no system of real measurement in Unity. So height, width, length, everything is all in what are called Unity measurements. Single floats, which are decimal points, and integers of whole numbers. So you can't really tell what is 5 feet tall, because that is up to you. What is 5 feet? Is one Unity unit 5 feet, or is 2 5 feet, or is 5? All up to you. So what I'm doing is I'm building some basic walls. And like I said, this is a little bit less of a tutorial of how to do something, but more just kind of grooving as it's being built. And we'll be talking about, you know, what are some of your favorite games and what makes those games good? What is fun? How does it relate to video games? Is it a toy or is it a game? as I groove a bit. So here's a handy trick for all you Unity devs if you're not in the know. If you're moving a cube around, or any mesh that has vertices are little points on each corner. If you hold down the key V, you can move an object by snapping a vertice to another vertice. Nice. Alright, now that we got a little bit of a playtest area here, let's add some stuff to test, shall we? So as I was building the testing environment here, this little floor with a few walls, I use that Procore tool, and you'll see that you can quickly throw up things to actually be in the level if you don't have the time for Blender, or you're waiting on those assets to be built at a later time. And that Pro Builder is a lot more powerful than just building cubes. You can do all sorts of custom 3D modeling just straight into Unity, quick and dirty. Alright, so this is going to be a button, because I will need one button. And then we're going to create what are called empty game objects. Pardon me as I do some quick organization here. Rename this to the button. Let's make sure we can see it's the button. Wah, button. How we doing on that Discord channel for questions? Armies, I check real quick. Ah, here we go. Oh, it looks like it's... Expecting a voice channel, but this is cool, this is cool. Alright, so, top of the thing. Personal preference. Perfecting a game mechanic. Trying to build a story/game around it, or having a lore story and trying to make mechanics for it. So this question is, do we go bottom up or top down? And really it's all about your preference and how your game is coming together. To be frank, it's a balance of how much time you want to spend on any one thing, and how much of that time could be considered wasted. You don't want to send out a ton of time building out a 10,000 year in-depth history, and then wind up only using about maybe 5 minutes of that history. On the other hand, you don't want to build a game with a bad mechanic, and then not be able to find a story for it, because the mechanic itself was not up to the task. So really, middle out, if you will. A little bit of story, a little bit of mechanic, and just build. The more things don't work out, just keep going back to it. Tear it out, rebuild it, it's all good. Unity, for a question from Luti, I apologize on the pronunciation. Is Unity easy to learn? Yes and no. Unity is very good if you are a starting out developer. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of tutorials. The forums are extremely good. If you don't know how to do something, you could usually find it with a Google search. and just piece it together and go from there. There's also good time to plug here. A asset in Unity called Playmaker. Playmaker is a coding language that doesn't use code. And I can show you a little bit about that. Go to my stuff. Search in my stuff. Playmaker, why did that not search in my search? I don't want to buy it again. I want to have I already got it. How do I want to show this off? Alright, we'll just do this. New project. Let's go 3D project. Alright, so back on if is Unity easy to learn. The three major game engines, Unity, Epic, Unreal Engine, and CryEngine for jokes. Unity is great if you are either a single developer or a small team just learning how to use a game engine. You can make most of your assets in the game. It's very easy on programming. It uses C#. It uses JavaScript and some weird language I've never seen called Boo? And you can get things in, start kitboxing stuff pretty quickly. Really, really good. If you're in college for it, use Unity. You can throw projects out pretty quickly if they're not wanting you to specifically use anything else. Epic, Unreal Engine, if you have a dedicated team, you have an artist, you have a dedicated C++ programmer, you have a level designer, and a systems mechanic designer. So art, code, and design. Epic is the way to go. Unreal Engine has a lot of power, especially for visuals and physics. But CryEngine, you have to have an extremely dedicated team, people that know CryEngine by the back of their hands, and then you're good to go with that. But yeah, that's big studio stuff when you're getting into CryEngine, and then everything else that's, you know, whatevs. Some people make their own engines by themselves, and that ain't me. I'm not that good at code. Alright. How hard is it to get into modeling with Unity? There's a big caveat from, I apologize, this is from You Live in Aspiration, and I'm a little bit behind the question, so bear with me. Modeling in Unity, you could do some really, really cool stuff with it. It'll take you a bit to get used to the limited control set that you have in Unity, because it in and of itself isn't really built for 3D modeling. It's good on the quick and dirty if you just need to throw something up there for examples or to block out a level or something like that. It's great. But you're better off using Blender or Maya or some other 3D programming than importing it in. And thank goodness for Unity for importing, because you just drag and drop. It reads it, interpolates it, you throw the textures into a shader, call it a day. I made a backup. Well, I didn't, but, you know, it's a new project, so there's nothing to back up. How terrified do I get when someone asks, what's Unity from Black Jungle 308? You know, I usually fall back on the Dave Chappelle, Rick James skit, Unity! And don't really call it, you know, it's not too bad. It's a really good first step into game design. It's one of those easy to learn, hard to master kind of programs. Song Redwood, how do you usually do measurements in Unity, since you said you can make it be whatever you want to be? It's relative. It's kind of up to you. You can make things really any size you want, and then as long as you keep your game to that standard of measurement, like one unit will always be one unit, 1 foot is always a foot, and there's no deviation between them, then it works out fine. It's just, you have to wrap your head around it being a little arbitrary. So there's a lot of size comparison. How big is my character next to this building? The building's too small. What is this, a building for ants? Standard Unity and Unity Pro, difference between U11 aspiration. Unity Pro has a bit of commercial aspect to it, so that's, you can sell stuff on Unity Pro. They also have some tools and stuff on the background for like adding advertisements and things like that into your games, and as well as like cloud storage and development. Okay, a little bit of Playmaker. Alright, so coding with Playmaker. Let us make a cube. Everything in games is cube. Every single thing of games is cube. Get that camera. Look at the cube. Alright, create material. Blue. Create. Oh, duplicate blue. Call it no green. So for the blue material, you'll see here in the inspector, once I have blue selected, material, I can go to the albedo, which is what color the light is when it reflects off the object. We're gonna go blue, because I named it blue, and keeping things together is good. And then no green. So it's gonna be green. So, I have a blue color in my game, blue, and a green color in my game, green. So we're going to say that I want this cube to start blue. So we will make it blue by dragging and dropping it onto the cube. Move this window out of the way first. And then I'm going to tell it to listen to Playmaker. So Playmaker FSM. It's called a finite state machine. A finite state machine is a system of code that reads in states. So now that you see that I have the state machine on it right here, you'll see that I now can see the state machine in the editor. So this is when the game turns on. It starts, and it flows to state 1. State 1, I will call it blue, because we are blue. I'm going to add a state to it. Let's see if I can add, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, over here. Make it all visually easy to follow. Alright, so I want to change it to blue, and I'll show you why later. And then I want another state. We're going to call it green. And another state for time. And call it delay. So I have my blue state, my delay state, and my green state. And just for funsies, we're going to make 2 delays. Yeah, delay 1, delay 2. So we're going to, we want blue to go to green and then back to blue. So, if I can remember how to do this. It's been a little while, so I do apologize. Try to remember the wording for it. Because I'm too used to doing udon, so I'm like, where's the noodles from udon? Alright. Alright, while I try to rack my brain on how to make the transitions work in... Oh. Not events. Let me answer some questions here. But yeah, Unity and Unity Pro. Unity is standard. Unity's free. Pro you pay a little bit monthly for, and it has a little bit more power behind it. But it's mostly in like the company type style. If you're planning on making money with it. If you're not planning on making money or you're just starting out, free Unity is absolutely perfect, especially since it contains night mode. Aqua. Let's see, hello. Just wondering, how would code for mods in Rust work? Coding here and there, not sure how it all works. I kind of can't really answer that question. I haven't really played Rust nor made mods for it, but I can generalize. A lot of developed games have their own coding language, or coding tools or modding tools for making mods to them. And what that means is you usually download, like, VRChat, their SDK, and it'll have tools for you to mod. And then in VRChat, it is a coding language called Udon. I haven't. So, transition, system events. Ah, here we go. Finished. This is what I was looking for. Finished. Finish. So, Rust will probably have you download a certain tool. And then you will use that tool to make mods to the game. And if they're if they're good developers and deserve cookies, then they'll have some sort of way to move your mod to their game and compile it so it all works. If they're just throwing the tool out for people to kind of stumble on and find, you kind of got to figure out how to compile it and put it in the game yourself. It can be a massive undertaking, depending on how much back-end work the devs did. Go back to the questions. Let's see, Talo, would you define the height based on the normalized height of a character model or off a specific set piece or model? That really depends. If you have something that you know or have decided the size of, like, say you made a yardstick, and you said this yardstick is 7 feet tall, and you move the model in there, you kind of move the model to the 7-foot yardstick. Model should be 5 feet tall, then you can measure it on that yardstick 5 feet tall, but it is still defined by you, so it's really dependent on what your project is, and how you're doing height. Skysail, thoughts on first-person camera game development versus third-person game development? There's really no difference. The only difference is where you're putting the camera, as well as your control schematic. If you're using a predefined system or using industry standard, you're usually going to do WSAD for forward, back, left, right movement, and then where you put the camera's up to you. If you have a really ornate 3D model, go third person, show that off. Let the player see themselves being badass. If you're focusing more on finite details like gun animation, reloading, and things like that, magic casting, first person might be the way to go. It's just what you want to do with it, how you going to make it. Show off what you're good at. Don't hide your work. Jomny, how long have I been making games? Ooh, hitting me with the hard feels questions. I've been making games since about 2015. Dedicatedly making games, I should say. I have 2 degrees. My first degree I obtained in English, film, and animation from the University of Kansas, where I focused a lot of writing for media. I focused on a second degree for game development, specifically in narrative designing, and graduated that with 2015. I've been kind of making projects and side hustles with that for a while. Now I do a lot of like consulting and writing for just random titles here and there. I'm pretty much fully freelance. If you're hiring and need a writer, I can do it. Hire me, please. All right, back to showing this. All right, so delay. We're going to need a delay or a time. Trying to remember what it's called in Playmaker, because I usually... here we go. Let's do a random wait. Let's see, random wait between 1 second, half a second, and 2 seconds. Do it in real time. Finish event is finished. And we're going to copy that to the same thing over here. And we're going to copy set material. And we're going to go no green. No green. All right, so we can see the cube. And watch this. This shit's cool. This is one of the reasons... Oh, pardon me. I do apologize about my mouth. We're going to actually be able to watch how this runs physically with Playmaker. It's fantastic. Look at this. Green. Blue. Green. Blue. Bam! And you can see how long it takes on each event. Check that out. Ain't that cool? Tells you what state it's currently in. This system got me through so much college, let me tell you. Slap it on the case, you know? What's up? How you doing? Alright, back to some questions. Oh, before I do that, so I know I am pumping Playmaker a little bit, but it really is a very good tool for if you're just learning how to not only get into game design and development, if you're not quite sure how code works or just starting to learn code, it follows the exact same logic that you would if you were typing the code out. I'm starting here. The next thing I need to do is wait. I'm going to wait at a random amount of time between 0.5 second and 2 seconds. I'm then going to change my color, and then I'm going to wait again 0.5 to 2 seconds, random time between there, and go back to blue. It's that same algorithm, same logic. So you can learn a lot about code just by this. And I do know that Playmaker does cost money, anywhere from 90 to some 60, depending on when and where you're buying it, what version of Unity, whatever. But it's always on sale. There will always be a sale for Playmakers, so just watch it, and you can pick it up pretty cheap, pretty quick. Let's see here. From B-Boop, aka Jazz Punker. Hey, would it be possible to show keys that you are pressing? I know that Blender has that. I don't have any sort of visualization for keys for pressing. Mostly it's left click or right click, just depending on what's going on. So there's a right click, there's a left click. Go back to my baby. But if I'm going to be putting out a hotkey or something, I'll just shout it out. like, holding down V was really the only hotkey, so you just hold the letter V and then you drag it. Boop. And that's it. There's also a list of hotkeys on, like, Unity. So if you go to the Unity manual, you can find all their quick hotkeys. Mick, how did you snap vertice? Did you select 2, 1 from each object? It goes individual vertice. So let me zoom in. So I'm zooming around and moving by holding down the Alt key, panning with the little hand, middle mouse button, zoom, left button. This is all while holding Alt. Okay, so with the object selected that you want to move, you get to the move tool with the W key, hold down the V key, and you see it'll go to the vertice. You can move it normally by vertice, but if you click in the square, it'll snap one vertice to another. High five. Tech, what is the main way to get inspiration to make the games you do? Games that I do are usually like eureka moments in the middle of the night. Like I'll be asleep and then, what year is it? And then I'll make a game. Yeah. This one here for the VR chat world, or the dating game world that I'm making. That one has been in the works for a little bit because I really like game shows, especially old game shows, and it's one that I thought would be really cool to bring people together to play as a group. It'll take about 5 people minimum to play this game, because for the dating game to work, you need a host, you need someone to ask questions, because it's like 20 questions, and I'll run through what the dating game is here in a little bit, and then you need 3 people to answer those questions. The dating game, if you're not familiar, is this old 1960s TV show, game show, where a generally lady, but not always a lady, would sit in a chair, have a deck of question cards, and there would be a stool that she sits at, and a large wall partition preventing her and the host, the guy that says, hey, welcome to the show, blah, 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 we're going to be doing this thing, from seeing who she's asking questions to, or who he's or who they are asking questions to. So you have 3 people that are mystery people. And she'll generally ask questions all like, contestant number 2, which is the second person who's behind the wall, if you were a used car, what would your advertisement be to get me to buy you? And that person would answer, well, I'm a 2-door sedan that drives comfortably. I do have a little bit of dents in my front fender, but nothing good hard rubbing can't buff out. And it's just fun. So I'm hoping I can recreate that. Let's see. Dom Jaboy. When making a game object, how would you prevent the mesh from warping when animated? Ooh, another toughie. So, couple of things. It's based on how you created the mesh in the beginning. Like, did you zero out your history? Did you set the correct UV map? Did you heat paint it? Heat map paint? UV paint? Whichever it correctly, so it knows which vertices to move with what IK controller. A lot of it's baked in how the model was created. Unity doesn't have any of the game engines don't have really any preconceived how things work without you telling it. So it's really, you make a good model, it moves well. You don't make such a good model, it doesn't move such as well. That's pretty much how it boils down to. Luti, and I do apologize, I am behind. Is C++ or C# better for game programming? It's up to you. However you like to flow it. There's lots of games that are made even in like Python, Java. I personally like C# because I do games for Windows, and C# is .NET, which is by Microsoft, and .NET is Xbox, which is also Microsoft. So you get all the Xbox controller features just built into C#. So if you need a rumble, it's just a quick type out, I need this to rumble for 5 seconds, and the controller will jiggle in your hands. It's awesome. Let's see, have I shipped any AAA titles? And if so, what was experience on it, working on that team? And if not, what's your favorite project to work on? Okay, so Nordwolf, no, I have not worked on any AAA titles. Mostly because I live in Kansas City, Missouri. No real AAA studios out here. But I do like comedy titles. I like writing for comedy titles. I like doing system design. VR's fun. I did a title where that's super, 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 super serious, but the game mechanics are just surgeon simulator. So it's all like, you need to defuse the bomb, and if you don't, it's going to blow up this orphanage, and blah, 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 and you have 10 seconds, and then you're just kind of like noodle handling about, how do I handle this? Yeah, VR's pretty fun too. Let's see, Binnacle James. Is Bolt a viable scripting engine for a shipped game? I have not tried Bolt. There are several different finite state machine engines like Playmaker that are free. Try them out. The best way to find out what works for you is just do it. If you like it, yeah, run with it. I only throw Playmaker out because it's the one that I used in college. It saved me on a lot of assignments, and I got like honors roll and all that, straight A's, even though I don't know how to program that well at the time. I got better, but yeah. Hold on, coffee break. Coffee delicious. Alright. Sam A, if I'm doing design for games, would design sheets in the style of animation designs be sufficient? Or is there some specific skills that differ from, quote, normal, quote, traditional art that one should try to master? Interesting. Once again, it falls on what works for you. Personally, for like design documentation, I don't really do heavy technical writing for design documentation. There are forms and templates out there for design documentation that can help you like make it more industry formulaic, but I tend to roll with things, iterate on what works, cut out what doesn't, and then go back through and write down what I did. It works for me, it doesn't work for everybody else. But, it's whatevs. I would say that some of the cool things from animation design documentation, Trello or what are called Kanban boards really work out really well. Storyboarding. Storyboarding. Super good for game design. Black Jungle 308, if Unity as the backbone, Blender for modeling substance texturing, what do I use for audio? Ooh, that's a good question. I do a lot of things with free services. There used to be, back when NPAPI was supported in browsers, a BitCrunch engine, which would make little pixel, like, asteroid style arcade noises, and I use the crap out of that. But really it's a lot of drag and drop file formats into Unity and then putting them out for Unity to play them out. I don't really do much on the audio side, but there are definitely a lot of tools out that you can find for audio. If the engine reads it, you can do it. So I do apologize, I don't really have that much of an answer for audio. Recommend Unity certifications. Switching at careers from IT to game dev. Thanks for the question, Kojan. I looked into Unity certifications myself. Unfortunately, Kansas City, Missouri, there were no certificate places here. The training videos that you can take for Unity certification by Unity are extremely good in general. I'd put it down just like IT. You don't need the certifications, but it can be a feather in your cap and your resume. Unleavened Aspiration. So, you create Unity models in Blender. How do you put them in Unity? Alright, slight caveat. I'm not very good at modeling, so my models are usually what's called hard surface. So, I'll make a cube, I'll make it look like a box, I'll drag and drop. And that's pretty much me doing models from, you know, Blender to Unity. Really, it's just how Unity imports it and how you're going to want to import it. Let's see, mesh. It should have just a standard mesh renderer. Depending on what you're bringing in, can really just depend on how it interpolates. Like, this is pretty much as close as I get to, like, avatar modeling and things like that. Yeah, drag and drop and hope it works, squash, cross fingers. I'm not really the visual artist kind of style. I'm more the conceptual of, what is this? How do I get this to work? Kind of concept. Let's see. Luti, would text-based games be easy to make in Unity? It's not the easiest in Unity because there's a lot of the extra stuff that you have to do with it. You have to bring in an overlay. A sort of a visual representation of how to put the text in the game. Do you want the text to be coded? Do you want the text to do fun things? That's all up to you. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot more things to think about when you add text to Unity as the game. Not to say it's not possible, not to say that it's not super difficult, there's just more. If you're just wanting a quick fire, super easy throw text in a game, look at Twine. Twinery.org, throw it in the chat here, is a great place for text-based games. Let me just double check, make sure that's still the same thing. It is. So yeah, twinery.org is a quick fire way to get text-based games up and running. Discord. Song Renwood. Where do you start with game design? Like, is there multiple ways to start? Do you think of an idea for a whole game, or do you think of some sort of mechanic that you can play a game around? Answer to that song, yes. All that. Really, for game design, you just do. If you have a idea for a whole game, write it down. Get as much down as you can, and then just start building it out. I know I haven't really been doing much on the visual side. I do apologize. Most of it's just me talking to you, but I'm having a good time answering questions. But yeah, just do it. You'll find mechanics that work and don't work. As we like to say in the industry, failure is the name of the game. To fail is to succeed. The more you do, the more you fail, the more you learn, the better it gets. So just keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't stop, won't stop, can't stop. Eat, sleep, game design, repeat. See, run us through high-level overview of my game design process. How do I personally take an idea to execution to have something playable at the end? Hoo, boy. High level is usually me coming up with a fun concept, like I want to ask people stupid questions and make a bunch of people laugh. And then I just kind of think through, how do I get that to happen? And each time I look at it, I do something new, like make a button. Didn't really make much of a button though while talking to you guys. I only got 5 minutes left, but showing that little Playmaker demo was pretty fun. But yeah, really, it's just do. Let's see, I can do this. I can do this. Game I'm particularly proud of. Something we might have heard before. I did make a Star Fox clone that I was pretty dang proud of. It was only in a conceptual phase. I did it as an academic, don't want to say thesis, but yeah, as a academic project. Ran into issues with the targeting system because camera's weird, but long story short, yeah, I made a Star Fox clone that was pretty okay. Never would be able to be published. I'd have to really do some elbow grease on it and not get sued. That's the big thing. How hard is it to get into the game industry? It's both incredibly difficult to get into a studio, unless you kind of live next to the studios. That might change after post-COVID, but who knows? To get into the industry is easy. Just start making. Nobody's ever an aspirational anything. If you dev, you dev. And the only way to be a dev is to dev. So go dev. See, building environments such as terrain or foliage, how are those developed? Normally relies on outside technology, so how does this affect your final release? Actually, terrain design and foliage specifically are native to Unity. You just go to Create, 3D Objects, Terrain. Boop. And it'll make a terrain. And then it'll give you tools to create stuff. So let's raise or lower. Let's do stars because pretty. Big old stars. Let's see, make them real big. Yeah. Boom, stars. Woo! Mountains. Look, I got a little mountain thing. So there's tons of tools outside to really beefcake up Unity's or any game engine's native terrain system, but you don't really need them, to be honest, for most games. You just add them and do them. How does it affect a final release? It depends on how in-depth you want to go. If you're adding a lot of little knickknacks that require a lot of art, it's going to take you a long time. If you're just throwing it out just to have something to stand on, won't take much time at all. 3 minutes. Bouncing off Lodi's question, do you think you need a game design related degree to go into industry? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You just, like I've been saying, just need to do. Throw up Unity, throw up some tutorials, and just start making. It's more impressive to have made games than it is for any education masters or anything else. There are a lot of scams out there that will promise degrees for thousands of dollars and whatever just to take student loan money from you. But really, you don't need any of that. Just make something. Go out and do. Talk more about studies and what excites you about narrative video games. I'm gonna have to skip the question. Ask me after, and we'll go definitely into that. But 2 minutes, not enough time. I do apologize. Safe distance from an animator while they're trying to weight paint. Unfortunately, that's a question for more Blender or Maya or whatever program you're using. Any tips on it? Grab the vertices you want to move and not the ones you don't. That's all I got. What would be a fun concept would be for Game World next? Anything you would find fun or silly? I'd like to do something with non-human protagonists. Being a furry, I like to make games about furries. Would you say making VR chat content or content for any VR platform is good introduction? Not VR chat. VR chat has its own weirdness with its own coding language called Udon. Not good. Not good for... It's not easy to really get into what you can do with it. But in general, having something like an editor, like Doom, the new one, the new Doom snap map and all that, that stuff's fantastic to learn about, like logic operations and coding and how to set level design. Fantastic. It's pronounced Yuavin. Hard to do in text, so probably still got it. Bad. Story about the cup on the ear. It's party. Finishing up here. Let's see, are you looking at something closer to a visual novel? Visual novel's cool. You add visuals. Unity is great for that. And some idea how to use, but no idea of coding. Where do I start? Go to unity.com. They have tutorials for how to code in C# and maybe Java. Tips on keeping motivation. Oh, I so wish this question would have come at the beginning. Motivation is the most difficult part. The project that I had open that I planned on working on has been open and working on since January, off and on. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. I mean, grab a cup of coffee, take a walk around, relax a bit, sleep, water, and do something that pumps you up. Listen to some music, watch movies, get some inspiration. And then just keep doing. Roll up your sleeves and just hammer away at it. Sometimes it's hard, and if you're doing it for a living, you don't want to work because no one does. You just gotta get out and do it. And thank you, Nordwolf. Thank you. I'm glad you joined. I hope you're getting some information from it. Luty? Yeah, that's what I'm here for, man. Answering questions. Feel free to reach anybody. Feel free to reach out to me at any time, and we'll be great. And yeah, Black Jungle, thank you for watching me. I feel love. You can't see my avatar's hands because I don't have that set up. But yeah, I feel definitely the love from all the questions. Thank you everybody so much. And yeah, I'll see you around Club Finn. I'm on tomorrow. Got some cool beats. Hope y'all like it. So yeah, that'll do it for me. For Ask Me a Question while I fruits around on Unity. And yeah, thank y'all for joining. Bye-bye.